Okay, it's actually 5 p.m. and today is August 13, 2018. This is the Weatherford College Board of Trustees meeting. We are at the Strain Community Room of the Doss Student Center located at 225 College Park Drive, Weatherford, Parker County, Texas, to consider and act on the agenda that's been posted. Item number 1 is call to order. By the way, you do have a quorum. All board members are present.
Okay.
So call this meeting to order and ask Mr. Baker to give our invocation.
You bet. Please bow with me. God, first of all, we are very thankful for the rain. Thank you very much for that, for protecting our firefighters across the county. And we thank you for our property here and how you've kept our students safe here. And we thank you for the upcoming semester and the excitement of that. Pray you protect our students, our faculty and staff, and you'll be with our board as they deliberate. So in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. David. Stand with me and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Open forum today. We have one request to speak. The speakers will be Merlin and Jim Coleman, at least Merlin. Jim, you going to say anything to them? Okay. Merlin, you got the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Merlin Coleman, if you've not met me. I'm speaking on behalf of my husband and myself. He could be much more eloquent and tell you much more about IB. Unfortunately, in 2008, he underwent a laryngectomy, and while it cured the cancer, it makes it more difficult for him to communicate. So he may, and I invite him to interject in any way to tell you what our feelings are. When Jim, as a young man, first graduated from UT Pharmacy School and came to Weatherford, he met, among others, I.B. Hand and Austin Zellers, who helped to form his partnership with City Pharmacy. And at that time, for some strange reason, I.B. took Jim under his wing and just almost treated him like a son. So we have been the closest of friends, and for years, I.B. has been Jim's best friend. That's why we know so much about this particular situation. The Carter estate has been very important to Weatherford College, as most of you know. What many people may not know is that the estate itself was willed to take care of all of their small animals. And IB was made sole executor with full power and right over all of the property, over all of the income, to do with what he wanted. And after the estate had been probated and had gone through the courts and everything, years after that, his daughter Carol told me she remembered time after time that they would go out and check over on the animals. IB had runs made for the dogs. He had all the veterinary care possible for these animals. And finally, he started talking with Jim and discussing how he wanted this to mean more than just taking care of those animals, but to be a memorial that was a perpetual memorial to the desires of these people. And he started thinking about where this property and this money should go. IB, having been a graduate of Weatherford College, loved it, as most of you know, with all his heart. He would tell people, this is the place to go and get your start. It took some doing, and he figured a way that he could make animals be important and that something could be done to honor the wishes of this estate, and yet Weatherford College could get benefit of the property itself and the income that came from it. Jim and I feel strongly that he should be honored in some permanent way, that his name should always be remembered for this wonderful gift that he's given. And I thank you for your time, and I'm grateful that I have not teared up yet. But I appreciate and love Weatherford College. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon.
Thank you, Merlin. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the President's report. President Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the Weatherford College Board of Trustees, I would like to give a few brief recognitions, an employee notice, the annual testing report, and an enrollment update. Recognitions. The Weatherford College Collegiate Future Farmers of America chapter and agriculture club recently participated in the Texas Collegiate FFA convention in Fort Worth. WC was the first community college to attend the event in more than a decade. I am very proud to announce that our WC FFA students competed against and defeated university students from universities such as Sam Houston State University, West Texas A&M University, Tarleton State University, and Texas Tech University. We have Vance Christie, our Director of Agriculture, and FFA student Jess Brockman with us today. Would the two of you please stand so that we can give you a round of applause? Congratulations, we're very proud of you. Congratulations also go to former Coyote basketball player Vlatko Granic for his contract with the Manchester Giants of the British Basketball League. We wish Mr. Granic the best. Employee notices. DMAC Local requires the college president to provide the names of contract employees that have resigned since the last board meeting. In accordance with this policy, the following individuals have submitted resignations. Patty Boyette retired effective 8/31/2018. Anissa Hatfield resigned effective 7/20/18. We thank both of these team members for their service and wish them the very best in future endeavors. Annual testing report. In accordance with EFCD local annual reporting requirements, I am reporting that our GED testing from January 1st to December 31, 2017, we tested 317 students, with total revenue of $6,092.50. For comparison purposes, the 2017 year through June, we tested 201 students at a revenue of $3,872.50. And in 2018 through June, ironically, we tested the exact same number, 201 students, with a revenue of $3,470. Our high-set testing from January 1st to December 31st, 2017, we tested 60 students with a revenue of $815. And for comparison purposes, 2017 through June, 31 students were tested at a revenue of $415, and in 2018, 18 students were tested for a total of $270. Enrollment update. I'm pleased to report that as of this morning, we had a near record high year-to-year comparison enrollment of 5,102 students. With 26 days to go before count date, we are currently about 3 to 4% below our record high 2017 enrollment, but well above all previous years' enrollments. By employing enrollment management techniques and enforcing existing policies, such as small section cancellation and late registration deadlines, we will slightly limit enrollment growth while improving our overall financial position. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the President's report.
Thank you, sir. Moving to item number 4, consent agenda, financial reports. Item A, approval of minutes from the July board meetings. Item B, financial reports ending July 31, 2018. Item C, sealed bids for color and web printing services for 2018-2019, SB 0419. Item D, sealed bids for grounds maintenance and landscaping services, RFP 0119. And item E, policy BD, local future board meeting dates and times. These are items on the consent agenda and financial reports. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda and financial reports?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Number 5, consideration possible action, proposal of 2018 ad valorem tax rate and scheduling of public hearings. Dr. Andrew Cantrell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last week at the budget workshop, we discussed the Central Tax Authority and the certified appraised property at this time being $12,627,041.48. This represents an increase of 6.80 over last year's property values. Central Tax Authority figures the effective tax rate. This effective tax rate has been lowered because of the growth. The effective tax rate stipulated is 11.777%. Split up in maintenance and operation of 11,229 for maintenance and operations and 0.00548 for debt service. And they figure for us that rollback rate of 8%, which would be 12.648 cents, and that's split up into 12.100 for maintenance and operations and 0.00548 for debt service. At this point in time, after reviewing the budget and going over the budget with you all last week, the administration is recommending that we drop the rate slightly to 11.497, I believe is what it was. That would be split up between 11,399 for maintenance and operations and 0.00548 for debt service. Also required by law is at this time that this is approved by the board or recommended and proposed by the board, we would be required to hold 2 public hearings, and those would be held next week on the 22nd and on the 27th. This point in time. Are there questions that I may answer for you all? I feel like much of it we went over last week, but if you would like for me to repeat any of that, I would be more than glad to. This rate is sufficient to support the budget that we discussed last week, based upon our needs at this point in time, covering much of the ERP system conversion. That's one of the main goals for this year, and some changes, personnel changes and additions that are out there.
Are there any questions? Any comments? Is there a motion that the Board of Trustees propose to adopt the 2018 ad valorem tax rate of 0.11947, which is 0.11333, let me start again, 0.11399, maintenance and operations, and 0.00548 debt service on today's date, August 3rd, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this right, on August 30th, 2018, and confirming the tax hearing dates and times of August 22, 2018 at 12 p.m. and August 27th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Is there such a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That passes. All right. Thank
No, I
you.
once again would like to thank Dr. Cantrell. She has done this for years and years and years, and this is a tedious, it has to be something that I would not enjoy. But I appreciate so much having been on the board for 20 years and back on the board, she has kept us financially in the place where we need to be, and I appreciate her for that.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Here, here.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, moving to item on the agenda 6, consideration possible action, appointment of Weatherford Economic Development Authority Board.
Would you like me to talk to that?
Since you're the,
Well, I was appointed after Dr. Eaton left, and I've enjoyed being on the economic board. It's a good group, and it's always fun to hear about the new stuff that was coming in before it got here. And I can report on that. You know where Sears was? That's going to be Panera Bread. That's about the only thing that's going on right now. But I just felt like that it would be better served for Dr. Farmer to be on that board, because he knows more about the day-to-day operation of what's going on. And I was able to answer their questions so far, but as I get farther away from when I was here every day, I know I'm not knowing as much as I should. So I think Dr. Farmer would be a much better representative for the college on that board, and so I'm nominating Dr. Farmer.
is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
All right, is there any other comment or discussion on that?
So,
All right, all in favor say aye.
uh,
Aye.
Wait a minute, we didn't get a second.
I so moved.
Did you?
I second.
Okay, all right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
I,
That passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
I'm not on the economic development, but we're also getting an In-N-Out burger and a smoothie too.
I don't think those are finalized, are they?
Well, they're clearing land for In-N-Out right in front of Home Depot, so.
Is that what
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Wow.
No? Okay.
See?
Yeah. If you want to make me wrong, please do. My wife does all the time.
No, I work for City of Weatherford. It's a pet supply store.
That's what?
A pet supply store.
Or
Okay.
In-N-Out burger.
So
Tell me again about Panera's fee, you should
In-N-Out
tell
dogs.
me.
That's what I get for listening to my wife. She's the one that told me. She said, I saw it on Facebook.
Oh.
And the Chase Bank.
It's gotta be true.
That's their picture there. I know.
Okay.
Okay.
We're losing control.
We'll move to item 7, consideration possible action, MOU for City of Weatherford Roundabout. President Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman and members of the board of the Weatherford College Trustees. We have with us today Mr. Manny Palacios from the City of Weatherford. He's the Director of Transportation. Also potentially joining us is Caleb Milligan and Norman Hogue from Dunaway and Associates. And we are very honored to have them. Thank you for making the trip in today. At this time, I would invite Mr. Manny Palacios to come make a very brief presentation over the roundabout that is proposed to go here in front of the main entrance of Weatherford College.
Thank you, Dr. Farmer. Mr. Chairman, board members, again, Manny Palacios, City of Weatherford. Of course, I got Caleb Dunaway. I'll do a short presentation, and they'll finish it up. So I kind of want to start off with the outline. I'll talk about a little bit about roundabouts in Weatherford, kind of how we got there and what we're thinking in the future and how we want to work with the Weatherford College on this. So first of all, roundabouts, it's City of Weatherford Transportation and Public Works. Our goal is to improve mobility. As you see, as y'all know, city grows. Intersections, they get kind of busy. So we've been looking for alternative transportation improvements, and one thing is out there is roundabouts. I started looking at roundabouts about 5 years ago. Been going to seminars, learning more about them. Been going to different cities in the Metroplex, kind of see them function, see how they work, see how they perform. A lot of people got, they have a lot of negative things and positive, but as transportation experts, we want to make sure that what we do is going to work. So we start, learning more roundabouts, and we began to, first of all, identify locations. So at the first, we identified about 4 or 5 locations, and one of them one of the first ones we did was, well, let me back up a little bit. One advantage about roundabouts, of course, safety, reduced delay. One thing about safety is, of course, roundabout, you go circles, and there's a conflict point. You know, it's not a T-bone, it's more of a side swipe. The environment, less air pollution, traffic is always going circle, it's always moving around. The main thing is capacity. If you see right there, it's provide efficient flow, provide efficient traffic flow, up to 50% increase. That's our main purpose. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure traffic is flowing across town, one point to another. You know, I know there's traffic lights, stop signs, and so on, but the main thing is we want traffic to keep on moving. One thing is roundabouts, they improve appearance. You know, the landscaping, you know, rock walls, and so on. Last, save cost. Traffic signals, it's an operation maintenance. As y'all know, you got to hire somebody to maintain them. You got to hire, you know, always technology changes, so you got to change out the servers, change out the lights, change out the equipment. So that's one thing one advantage we liked about roundabouts. Here's our first one we did, Charles and Mockingbird, and I'm sure many of you have seen it or driven through it. What was going on there? Why we chose this one? Well, there was a four-way stop before. There was compliance issues. Now, when I say compliant, that means motorists were running stop signs all the time. It would queue up so much that, of course, the moms and motorists want to get their kids to school because there's 2 nearby schools, and so they didn't want to wait, so they rather just go by the stop sign and run it. So that was an issue. There was a peak hour congestions, morning between 7 and 8. Same thing with around 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, there was congestions. Cars would back up, about probably 5 or 6 cars behind the stop sign. The other thing is the enhancement. Look at the before picture there. You know, it's a big intersection. You have a baseball field, you have a park nearby, you have a church, you have 2 schools nearby. So we wanted to improve that intersection in some way. We want to make it nicer. Last thing is the walking, pedestrians. We always saw a lot of kids walking from what is that school? Crockett, walking down Charles Street across the intersection into the library. So that was another issue that we wanted to address at the same time. So this is what we built. Now, this is what is out there right now. We have, you can see there's the landscaping. We did a nice landscape in the center. The sidewalks, we connected sidewalks from the church along Charles Street, crossing the intersection, and down Charles Street. You can see the aesthetics of the curb returns or the medians. They're colored, they're nice, they're visible. Most of all, if you've been there before, if you've seen it before and you've seen it today, traffic always flowing. There's never anybody stopping unless you got somebody that doesn't understand yield signs, then of course they're out there waiting. But many times I've been there, it's always flowing. Peak hours, it is. That's our goal, is to keep traffic moving, and it accomplished our goal on this situation. Last, in this roundabout is, whatever we build, we want to make sure we build it quality. We want to make sure it stands out, and in this case it did. We got an award from the APWA, which is the American Public Works Association. It's a project on a $2 million project, and thanks to Dunaway & Associates, they helped us design it and landscape it. So we got a good award, and we're very, very proud of this. What we're doing now is, when we started roundabout the first time, is we identified like 4 or 5 intersections. We're working with our city council, we're working with our transportation advisory boards, and we had already 2 public meetings so far. We're working for internal staffs, and this is still ongoing. We have not finalized the program or the locations, but as you can see, just show you where the public, our transportation advisory board, our staff, our engineers have determined that this location are possible for good roundabouts in order to keep traffic flowing, or to make this intersection safer and much more better looking. This is an aerial picture of Weatherford College existing. I want to kind of label it proposed future plan, but I want to call it more of a city's vision. And excuse me. When we at City Go is, for the past year, we've been trying to work with communities. We're a community. We're trying to work with the WISD neighborhoods, Parker County. And one thing is we want work with Weatherford College. Everything we do, we want to be a partnership with you guys. I think last year we worked with Dr. Baker on the pedestrian island. He came up to us about an issue, so we worked with them on that. We helped them on crossing a pedestrian island here in front of the college. So anything we do, the whole point here is, no matter what we do, is we want to work with the Weatherford College. We want that partnership. Whatever you guys want from us and need from the city, we want to do that. In this case, we want to build the first roundabout here at this intersection, College Park and Martin Drive. There's peak hours that are congestion. There's traffic flow. There's a couple of issues, but we'll talk about here in a minute. We want to do this first, and hopefully on the future plan, construct another roundabout at the intersection of Foster and East Park. Keep that intersection going. Third is, you can see the blue line, the hike and bike trail. We just finished the hike and bike trail along Santa Fe down the existing creek connected to Washington Drive. What we want to do is, hopefully in the future, is connect that hike and bike trail down Washington Drive, along Texas Drive, down somewhere around there. This is of course just conceptual. It's not a finalized alignment. Down somewhere adjacent to the creek, behind the softball fields, through the intersection, and connected to the Weatherford College. We want to, as transportation, we don't always look at motors or cars. We want to look to make sure bikes, pedestrians, anything else, anything that moves people around. So that is our vision. This is what we want to do in the future with the Weatherford College. Here's an aerial of Weatherford College at the intersection, College Park and Martin Drive. This is done, we did a drone video last year, around probably October or so. And as you can see, where it kind of queues up Martin Drive, and then your entrance to the college, you see about, 5 or 6 vehicles. So that was one, this is why we wanted to look at this intersection to improve, to make, do something, build a roundabout. We want to improve traffic flow. Next thing is we want to provide a safe pedestrian connectivity. There's some sidewalk in between softball and the baseball fields. We want to connect those sidewalks to this intersection, because we often see people walking from the apartments or business district, South Main, walking towards the college. We want to, in the future, connect sidewalks, both sides of Martin Drive on the College Park, and then going into the college. Enhance intersection appearance. Like I said before, the roundabout. If we build this roundabout, we want to make it nice looking. We want to make it a pure greenscape. We want to do it right. We want to make sure it has aesthetics to it. Last but not least is we want to provide a gateway to Weatherford College. I graduated Weatherford College back in '97. I was attending here, great college. Friends, they love Weatherford College. I was talking to my daughter yesterday or a couple of weeks ago, and she knew, like, Daddy, what are you doing? A runner? Like, what? Like, and you know what? She was so happy. Like, what? That would be awesome, because not only that, every college she goes to or she's seen before, because she's fixing to go to college, like, they're so all normal and looking, and having a roundabout. I mean, that would be an awesome. I mean, it's. And I never thought about the students' perspective is they want to see something more modern. They want to see something new. They want to see something that's kind of different than the typical college. So this is a conceptual right now, 30%. Of course, it's it's bigger than the one on Charles and Mockingbird. Like Dr. Farm, the MOU, we're willing to construct this, pay for this, to improve this intersection. And at this point, I will hand it over to Donovan Associates to talk about more about the conceptual plan and 101 on roundabouts.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Our big sign that is under reconstruction, we've already considered where that's going to be placed, or is it going to need to be moved?
Right now, we're talking about scooting the roundabout either further south to save it. Okay. It'll be pretty close, but our goal is to save as much, as what's out there, the sign and trees. But the landscaping plan is not finalized yet, so we're still working on it. Once we finalize it, then we'll make for sure where everything's at.
Just got to be sure to have that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Manny. Mr. Chairman, Board of Trustees, thank you for having me. My name is Caleb Milligan. I'm a civil engineer and project manager with Dunaway Associates. We're a civil engineering firm headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas. So we are helping Transportation and Public Works with this project, and we are excited about this one. We've been looking forward to working on this for a couple years now with Manny. And Manny mentioned that we did help with the Charles Mockingbird roundabout, and we're very happy to be a part of that project as well. What I wanted to start off tonight with was just a brief kind of roundabouts 101, just some introductory information about roundabouts for those of you who may be unfamiliar with roundabouts and what they are and what benefits they have. So a few definitions for what constitutes a modern roundabout is that the control on all entries is yield controlled, and that's always the case with the roundabout when you have yield signage at each entry, and that's consistent around all entries. Also, here in the United States, we travel counterclockwise in the circulatory roadway, and this provides the geometry leading into the roundabout. You can see the curvature of the entry paths. That provides slow, consistent speeds, and what that mainly does is it gets vehicular speeds down below 25 mile an hour for a single lane roundabout, and that's where the safety benefits really come in. It also gives a fair advantage to all motorists entering the roundabout to utilize the intersection, and it makes everything balanced so that entering drivers are giving right of way to the circulatory traffic. It also, again, has the great opportunity for landscaping and aesthetics in the central island there and around the perimeter of the intersection as well. And because of those slower speeds and because of the length of the crosswalks that are crossing the pavement, which are much shorter than a standard signalized intersection, pedestrian access and crossing is much more, has a lot more safety benefits with it. We just like to say, in general, that roundabouts are a better use of intersection space and time when compared to standard intersections of signalization or stop controlled. So they increase safety, reduce delays, reduce the emissions thereof, and then reduce fuel savings, improve the aesthetics with that opportunity of landscaping, and they're very flexible. They essentially mitigate themselves with the demand of flow of traffic. They don't need to be, retimed based on time of day. They essentially kind of self-operate as the traffic demands it.
Shouldn't that be increased fuel savings?
We're trying to see if you're awake.
Yes, that should be increased fuel savings on the fourth bullet there. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
I'm going to bring that up later.
I'm glad you caught it.
There you go.
So again, just to give a brief comparison of standard intersections and why safety is so beneficial at roundabouts, is because the types of crashes that do occur. When they do occur at a roundabout, they are sideswipe, very low energy impact, fender to fender, because we've got those vehicular speeds below 25 mile an hour in the intersection versus a standard four-way intersection or T intersection where you've got very sharp 90-degree angles and left turn head-on collisions. Those typically are very high energy impacts, and they occur at much higher speeds, and they usually result in fatal injury. Overall, I don't know if we showed the data here, but in general, roundabouts reduce all crashes by up to 75%, and in most cases, it's always no fatalities. So fatality crashes are reduced by over 90% for a single lane roundabout. The other part of that with what we show is the side swipe crashes because of the vehicle-to-vehicle conflict points. With a single lane roundabout, you have 8 conflict points versus a standard four-way intersection with 1 lane in each direction. You've got 32, so it's a 75% reduction in conflict points. And just wanted to give a brief update. We are currently working on the landscape theming with Dr. Farmer and Dr. Baker here. and with Manny and his staff, but just wanted to give you kind of some pictures. This does not constitute what will be built here at the Weatherford College roundabout, but it just gives you some visual images that kind of, you can see what we're kind of keeping in mind. We're working through some different scenarios, and mainly, you know, ornamental and seasonal grasses and flowering, potential, you know, public art in the middle, and this is just a combination of different materials around the intersection with the use of colored stone or colored concrete, and some different patterns. So just wanted to kind of give you some visualization there. With that, I know it's kind of brief and quick, but we are open to any questions that you may have. Or
Anyone have any questions on the board?
I just have one question, and this is, I have only heard this from secondhand sources. I've not observed it in person. School buses and tractor trailer trucks, will they have trouble negotiating?
No, they will not have trouble negotiating the intersection. So I'll go back, and this is actually a great picture here if the pointer works. So this pavement right here on the inside of the circulatory road, so the regular roadway pavement is this asphalt pavement out here. And this, I'm looking at the top left corner. So this pavement here in the middle, that is what we call the truck apron. And what that is there for is for the full purpose of tractor trailers, the trailers to encroach as they turn to make the movement of like a left turn or a through movement in the intersection.
So they're built to withhold the weight?
They are built structurally to accommodate that weight. And so that would be in regards to tractor trailers. With school buses, we actually use that as more of our design vehicle. And because of the size of this roundabout proposed here in front of the college, it would have, it'd be adequately sized to have a school bus make full maneuvers without encroaching outside of the curbing, essentially. So it would stay inside the regular pavement. And that's the same with the college and, or I'm sorry, the Charles and Mockingbird roundabout. It's a little bit smaller, but it still is sized adequately to handle school buses.
And you're saying the full-size school bus is correct?
Full-size school buses, yes, ma'am. Yes, they can stay within the circulatory pavement. So we'll just back up to that overhead picture of that roundabout real quick.
While he's backing up, I might add that the one up by the library, the Weatherford ISD's buses go around that on a daily basis. And that was my first question as well. This roundabout, as proposed, was 26 feet wider than the one up by the library.
And we parked the mobile unit in that roundabout, and it's an 18-wheeler size, so I know it fits just fine.
Yeah, so this roundabout here is 104 feet across. So if you were to measure outside to outside curbs there, it's 104 feet in diameter. And school buses can stay within the concrete pavement here without encroaching into any of the splitter islands or the truck apron. And the proposed roundabout at College Park and Martin Drive is currently proposed as 130-foot diameter. So much larger, but the circulatory pavement here is 20 feet across, and so that's where you get that width that will accommodate full maneuvers by a school bus and fire truck. That's kind of our design vehicle. So we make sure that those type of vehicles can make all maneuvers within the pavement. And then the truck apron pavement would only be utilized by longer trailers if need be.
Any other questions for this gentleman? It's Mr. Milligan, is that right?
Mr. Milligan,
Okay.
yes, sir.
And you're the other gentleman?
Yes, this is Norman Hogue.
Okay. Well, we appreciate y'all being here today. And
Now, is there's not any, my understanding Martin Drive is, I'm sorry, I don't know what they call it, a designated ambulance route to the hospital. Is there any problem with putting a roundabout there
as far as maneuverability, there would not be. Those vehicles would be able to safely make all maneuvers inside the intersection.
Me too.
And because of the efficiency of the roundabout, those emergency vehicles, they can get through the intersection a lot quicker than if it was a standard intersection as well. So the response times will go down because of the intersection type.
Mr. Curley, I would assume that this memorandum of understanding suits you're satisfied with it?
I reviewed the first draft and yes, it answered the questions that I had at the original one, so yes, it works.
Okay. Any other questions or comments before we move on this? Thank you, Mr. Milligan. I
Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Manny, thank you also. You have anything else, Manny, you want to say?
No, just want to say, thank you. And
Thank you.
we'll work forward with any project coming up, and we'll work as a partnership. Thank you, appreciate it.
Man.
Thank you for correcting my wife on
Give me a call if y'all need some help.
Yeah, thank you. She's gonna be disappointed. She has to go back to Whataburger now.
This is a possible action item today, so I think everyone's had a chance to look at the memorandum of understanding between the City of Weatherford and Weatherford College. And the parties that are designated would be Mr. Palacios and Dr. Farmer. Is there a motion concerning approving the approval of this MOU between the City of Weatherford and Weatherford College as it's been presented and is outlined in this MOU?
I so move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That would be approved. Thank you, appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Manny.
Thank you all, appreciate it. Agenda item number 8, reports, proposed 2018-19 budget report, Dr. Cantrell. And Dr. Cantrell, if it's okay, if it's okay, what we'll do is let you, the first 3 items are the notice of effective tax rate in addition to the proposed budget report, statements of increase, decrease, and the guided pathways update. Are you,
Okay.
do all 3 of those in sequence?
Okay.
Thank you.
As presented last week to the Board of Trustees, the proposed budget is presented at a total of $56,663,188. The total budget, will not change by next week at this time, by the 30th at this time. Changes in the revenue since we reported to the public in June were that we had added Parker County property taxes to a total bringing in $870,810. The Wise County branch maintenance tax at that point in time had not been changed and was budgeted at $2,980,000. Local funds other increased by $188,000, bringing it to a total increase of $240,186. Due to the increase in indirect costs and an increase in interest income of $131,000. Operating grants decreased approximately $30,000 due to an increase in the Perkins grant award of $50,484 and a reduction in nursing shortage grant of $81,084. Tuition and fees were increased by $13,000 due to increase, and these are mainly just little changes that were from June 14th. The debt service revenue was increased by $12,000 due to anticipated increase in interest income, and auxiliary revenue was decreased by $9,500 due to anticipated increase in interest income.
Okay.
Construction fund increase was also due to the interest income was increased $2,000. Changes in expenditures that were accommodated by these increases. Technology services was increased by $580,000 due to the purchase of the new ERP system. The WCWC indirect cost was increased by $57,459. Major repairs and rehabilitation was increased by $100,000. Grant expenses were decreased by $30,600. Additional funds were budgeted in the Granbury budget for additional facility cost. General institutional contingency was increased by 29.5 to bring the total contingency to 1% of the budget. Salary and benefits adjustments have been made throughout the budget to reflect insurance and hiring adjustments, resulting in an increase of $779. I'm sorry. Institutional effectiveness was increased by $44,000 for the campus lab module. Additional funds were budgeted in human resources for a salary study in the amount of $25,000. Business services was increased by $12,585 for a new budget module for prediction for years down the road. Vocational nursing was increased by $3,900 for additional program expenses. Utilities increased for the new fire academy building that we have over on where is that located, Mike?
It's off of
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe and Fort Worth Highway.
Right. Distance education was increased by $3,200 for a new lockdown module. And as just a reminder to you all as we go into the adoption, state appropriations have not increased this year due to being the second year of the biennium. The Parker County tax rate has been decreased from the 2017 rate, or the recommendation of that, to 11,947. A 6% increase in overall tuition rates is reflected in this budget. An increase of $69,400 in the WCWC lease for a lease payment of $2,717,000. A 3% salary increase for all full-time employees totaling $498,683. 4 new faculty positions, 2 assistant coach positions, and 2 administrative positions, I believe. One was moving for $330,000. An increase in equipment of $41,000 or 6.89%. A decrease in travel, $9,597 or 2.3%. And a reduction of $63,778 in operating grants. An increase in student aid of $210,000 or 1.82%. And an increase in operations and plant maintenance of $164,000 due primarily to the $100,000 in major repair and rehabilitation. The budget was posted on the website as of August the 9th, and there will be opportunity for the board to discuss as the final proposed budget continues on for adoption on the 30th. Are there any questions as far as the budget goes? The notice of effective tax rate, I have copies of those if anyone would like to look at these. These are required postings. There are 3 required postings in the newspaper that we must put out there. The first one was the effective tax rate, and that is figuring the amount of adjusted taxes that we received last year minus the new construction or improvements. And so at this point in time, I believe the effective tax rate, let me move to this page. Sorry. This reflects the effective tax rate on the budget and all statement of increase, decrease, Schedule A and Schedule B. This ran on this 27 in the newspaper, so that's the first posting that's been done. The other 2 will come out. The first one, notice of a public hearing, and that's not mentioned here, Mac, but I wanted to go ahead and point it out to everyone. A required posting on Wednesday of this week, which is 7 days before our first public hearing. And then after the public hearings have met, there will be a notice of tax revenue increase. The first one requires that everyone that voted on the proposed is placed on, the names of the board members are placed on this, and those voting against. And then the second one, notice of tax revenue increase, and it talks about the amount of tax revenue on an average Parker County household that this will be collected, and it spells it out very plainly. I have copies of these here that will run if anybody would be interested in looking at.
Thank you.
I'll move on to the guy that, yes,
I'd like to have a copy.
Okay, I'll be glad. I've got enough for everyone if you'd like. down. That's the effective tax rate. Notice of public hearing. Now that one, excuse me, Dr. Marlette, we had just drawn lines through last year's, but those will be inserted before Wednesday. And then this is the notice of tax revenue increase. Anything else that?
No, thank you. Go ahead, if you'd like.
As far as the guided pathways update as of today, since I last reported to the Board of Trustees, our work units and academic departments have been very busy working in their individual areas for the upcoming 2018-19 academic year and building on the information that they've received from the past Guided Pathways Institute. The third on-campus Guided Pathways workshop has been proposed for Friday, October the 19th, and will be led by our own Executive Dean, Adam Finley. Kay Landrum will also be very instrumental. All of these people have been members of our team since we very first started going to the first institute. But on October 19th, we're proposing, we'll focus on advising, and it's based on the Institute number 4 that all of our team members attended. Basically, Executive Dean Adam Finley and Kay Landrum during this workshop, onboarding practices and institutional advising initiatives will be the primary focus. With the onboarding, teams will identify hurdles and develop solutions to assist student matriculation. The two primary areas of focus with onboarding will be effective communication to incoming students and examining processes currently in place to ensure a student-centered approach. Student success advising initiatives will focus on roles and ways faculty and staff can participate and assist. The future of advising for student success for currently enrolled students will be a decentralized model that involves a team approach. Specific initiatives such as assigned advisors, appropriate course pairings, and defining student milestones for degrees will be established. I feel a major component of moving forward with Weatherford College and the guided pathways in the area of advising and onboarding is the new student system from Ellucian. And it is basically, it's our hope that with this new onboarding and advising, advancements will be showcased. With this project, Greg Schrader and the ERP implementation, they met with Ellucian on July 24th to discuss operational strategies and establish a tentative timeline for implementation. It is expected that we will have one more enrollment cycle under our current system, but this next year will be an exciting time as we prepare for the future.
Does it look like we're about a year out on that? Is that what you're saying?
It could be as far as all modules being brought on, it could be as far as 18 months for all of it. But we will be getting on board as quickly as possible. I think we've got a very intensive several months ahead of us, I can tell you that. We were talking, I know, for instance, in human resources about our compensation study. Some areas that will be hit very hard coming on with the new year in HR, business office. So much of it has to be owned there and applied before you can bring on the other departments. So, but with that said, we have planned that with human resources, for example, that we bring on the compensation study, start working on it later in the year and with an emphasis on the ERP system and conversion in the beginning.
That's a lot. That's going to be a lot of information.
Yes, but I think it's going to be everything, you know, ever since we started going to the Guided Pathways meetings, all of the colleges were bringing on new systems, and it was like, do you do this first or do you do that first? And I think the ERP system is one of the key components of this whole Guided Pathways thing. We've got to build everything on the data that's available in that new ERP system.
Yeah, we're lucky we've been working on that everybody in the administration and across the campus has been working so hard on all of that because We were miles behind before.
But I think timing is good. I think
Yeah.
it's very good that it's right here fresh. We can design it just like we
Yeah.
need for it to be.
Well, that's great.
And so, other upcoming events that we'll be looking at, the Texas Pathway Institute #5, supporting students on the path, is scheduled for November 14th through the 16th, and it's in Dallas.
Ooh, that's good.
So we'll be working on that. We're hoping to take even more people over there with it being so close. Are there any other questions as to?
I'd just like to say we have a core group of people who are willing to take on.
Absolutely,
this.
and everybody has really worked like a team on this
And
project.
that assigned advisor for each student, we need that.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Demand study report, Mr. Indy.
Thank you. As per the request of the board, we've undertaken a demand study to determine how the institution might best meet the educational needs of our stakeholders. Our review thus far has involved data collection at the national, state, and regional levels as it pertains to the specific needs of our service area. For expedience, I'd like to present a highlighted analysis of those data and a forecast of future studies. Mr. Butler and I would be glad to provide more detailed review of the data and analysis should you wish. In terms of our existing study, we found that national and state employment data were relatively consistent in their identification of healthcare, social assistance, accommodation and food service, government and retail trades as the primary areas of potential employment and educational growth in our area. Regionally,
Healthcare, food service, and what?
healthcare, accommodations and food service, hotel and restaurants, government and retail trades.
Okay.
Those are the areas that come out nationally and statewide. Regionally, we found that mining, quarrying, and extraction, as well as middle management opportunities, were increased in our area. That's not surprising. Gas and oil and retail management are growing in our area. Much of the data was consistent with historical trending. This such presented little in the way of new insights or opportunities for the college. Closer to home, disaggregation of the employment data suggested that Wise, Palo Pinto, and Parker counties presented heightened opportunities in the areas of construction and manufacturing. It should be noted that the frequencies of those opportunities, however, were typically half those presented by the growth opportunities in areas such as healthcare. Finally, Hood County had a heightened market opportunity in real estate, rental, and leasing, not really surprising given the markets available in Hood County. The data suggested we were already largely on track with respect to workforce training to meet the needs of employers in our area. In addition to our existing programs such as healthcare, welding, truck driving, HVAC, we're currently working to create a construction trades program and to enhance our manufacturing offerings. We are in continuous conversation with our regional employers in the oil and gas industry to determine what we may do to serve their educational needs. And of course, we're already heavily invested in health science education programs. Our analysis also suggested we consider exploration in the areas of middle management training, specifically as it might relate to retail sales and food service industries, and that's something we'll be looking into. Our Workforce and Economic Development Department will look into that area. Our further study efforts must focus on opportunities not identified by the assessment methods used to gather those national, state, and regional data, however. Our foci will include smaller regional employment training opportunities as well as emerging growth vectors within our service area. In addition to our ongoing efforts in workforce education, which include regular meetings with industry advisory committees, we are working with our service area's secondary education providers, those are our high schools and secondary education institutions, on a set of queries to determine how education, both secondary and higher education, might best serve the needs of regional businesses. Our next phase of the investigation will involve solicitation of that data through field interviews, which we'll do collaboratively with the high school counselors, with employers, educational professionals, community members, and potential students. That phase of the investigation will occur throughout this upcoming academic year. On the general education front, we're reviewing student transfer data from our secondary education partner institutions to discern patterns of student matriculation to WC. The disaggregation of that data will also involve cross-institutional explorations. We're going to look at populations across all of the high schools to determine if patterns of heightened or lessened participation may involve issues such as gender, race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. This will help us to target underrepresented populations and locales and to focus efforts on improving matriculation at WC. We'll begin exploring this data in early September once the fall semester is kicked off. Mr. Butler and I will start pulling that data apart using things like the IPEDS reports. And then we'll begin reporting to you on that after we begin to gather that data in the fall semester. That's a lot of information quickly. I'll be glad to entertain any questions or comments at this time.
Any questions or comments?
Do we, they have a very active nursing program at Weatherford High School.
Yes, they do.
We coordinate directly with them so that what they're taking at high school will maybe not transfer, but will be integrated into, in other words, how much integration is there between our nursing program and the nursing program at the high school?
Next to none right now, because what they can do in the high school would more closely align, I think Jeanette is back there, with our CNA and medical assisting, certified nurse assisting and our medical assisting program than with our vocational nursing or associate degree nursing program. And that has to do with the prerequisites that are required for those programs and the tracking through the curriculum in those programs. What we're doing now is working with Katie Donahue and with Jeff Hanks, Dr. Hanks, to align wherever we can workforce education programs between Weatherford ISD and Weatherford College. And health sciences is one of those areas where we're looking at it. But it would be misleading to suggest, and we've been asked a lot, couldn't our students just track through our high school level health sciences programs directly into your health sciences programs? And because of the demand in those programs and the prerequisite courses, that isn't typically possible, and those are selected entry programs, so we really can't promise if you start here, you can go there at this point. That's always something we look for, but that doesn't align quite the way we'd love it to.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Has there been any discussion, and I don't think there's been ever a formal proposal, but any discussion about a veterinary assistance program?
Actually, we have vet assisting. What we'd like is vet tech, and there's a discussion with...
Say that again?
Dr. Garofalo, I guess.
With Garofalo. Dr. Garofalo is working with... We have a vet assisting program, which is very successful.
Right.
Vet tech is the next step up.
Okay, all right.
We have petitioned the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Actually, we've petitioned our region for permission to begin exploring a vet tech program. It is a very expensive program to begin. There are some opportunities with the local animal shelter that we've been discussing. There are, of course, faculty needs, and we've got to look at student demand, and that's something we're looking at right now. It's been proposed to us, and as opportunity avails, we'll bring it forward to you for consideration. But yes, it's definitely an area of interest for us.
I might add that I have a meeting scheduled with the animal shelter and the department chair, Dr. Welch, later this month to discuss those issues.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that program, and I would like to do anything I can to help facilitate that.
That's fantastic.
So,
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Indy? That was a good report, Mr. Indy.
Thank you. There's nothing,
You talk very fast.
he
Well, I'm
does.
trying to keep it.
He does. He's
Nice work,
faster
Mike.
than my brain cells work. That all sounds really good.
all
It
right.
sounds really
Would you like a copy of it?
I really would.
I'll be glad to
I
send
really
it to
would.
Teresa. and
It
then you
sounds
can distribute
good,
it.
but I'm just concerned about maybe other roles at Weatherford College. When you look at the national statistics, not just our area, what's needed in our particular area, that's what we need to be taking care of, no question about that. But so many of our students go on out of our area, they have other, besides that, there's so much technology developing in our area that I wonder what role we have, because I've noticed that some stats are talking about how much young women are left behind in technology. They're not getting into high tech. They're not moving into AI like they should be, percentage-wise. And I just wonder what kind of responsibility we might think about to do something to enhance that, probably starting, as we've been trying to do, at the high school level, but Weatherford College, so far, I mean, has been doing some really interesting things about helping promote things going on in the high school. It's like we're part of this 60 by 30. We're going to reach down and pull people up into the Weatherford College because this is the place it ought to be. So there are organizations, there are clubs or whatever that encourage girls in high schools get into technology, for instance, and they sometimes they wear little signs say that I code, you know, I'm a girl coder, you know, and start putting things like that on a resume and move through our technology here, and then what that looks like I'm talking for general education, what that looks like at universities, you know, that they've been involved in a iCode organization, robotics, AI kind of stuff. We're trying to do something like that, but not specifically for women, but girls in the high school, where we're encouraging high school students to take a course in coding, and then the application of it, not to end up as coders particularly, but to understand that role, what that means in this ambient technology world that we're going. I'm just wondering if we see or think about any kind of stimulus programs that would help do that in the schools in our 5-county area.
That's a good question, and the answer is yes. And it isn't just female students in technology, and you're correct, they are underrepresented as a population in technology services. We're working with the business department, and Janetta Cruz, our interim Dean of Workforce and Economic Development, we're working on revising some of the programs in that computer science area to improve student outcomes and student employability and transferability. In addition to females not represented in that area, we have a number of programs that are disproportionately represented, male or female, and an area that isn't spoken about much, but the current national data, and it's true in our region, tells us that males are underrepresented in higher education, particularly minority males are underrepresented in higher education, and at an alarming rate. And we are specifically looking at programs that might attract minority males from our region into higher education for employable fields and also for advancement through higher education into baccalaureate and master's degrees. That's why when we say career vectors and employment opportunities, we're looking for more than the job you're going to get when you get out of Weatherford College. We're looking for that job and then the job you're going to want after that, and how do you continue to progress to advance for not only yourself and your family, but for your community. And so to find that data, some of it is nationally available, some of it is state and regional data, but a lot of it is going to be us forming partnerships with local industries to say, are you willing to invest in this program, these people, because money is finite and the ideas aren't. And somewhere you've got to get the great ideas to match up with available funds. And we need help with that because we have a lot of mission as a community college and not an infinite amount of dollars to pursue that mission.
It doesn't cost a whole lot to recognize programs. No. And if Weatherford College could come up with a program saying we want to recognize in every school coders, I'm oversimplifying this a little bit, but we want every year, whether male or females, but we might have a separate prize and they know it, that it'll be for females and males, but coders or something like that. CNC or not so much, but really coding. It's so much in higher education, or they're looking at folks who have, students who have had coding experience. It's not that they're gonna necessarily be writing code, they just understand what that is about.
My son's
How I-
majoring in computer
how I-
science at UNT, I understand it.
Yeah.
So
Anything
we
else,
will look into that.
Dr. Marlette, anything else?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. Agenda item number 9, in the book, it's got 21, 27, 30, 30, and on my sheet, it's got 22, 27, 30. Anyway, future agenda items or meetings, you clear it up, Dr. Farmer?
Yes, sir. It
Okay,
is the
thank you.
22nd rather than the 21st. Due to the
Okay.
rescheduling of this meeting,
All right.
we needed to legally push
Okay.
that back one
Great,
day.
great.
Well, and the time on the 27th. has
So,
been from 5 to 6.
agenda item 9A, we will be meeting August 22nd, August 22nd
At noon?
at 12 noon for our first public tax hearing. 9B will be meeting on August 27 at 6 p.m. for our second public tax hearing.
All right.
And then on item C, August 30th at 2 p.m., we'll be meeting to adopt the tax rate in the 2018-19 budget.
All right.
Here,
Yes, ma'am.
all three of
Yes,
them?
ma'am.
So there wasn't a
You
change?
got the,
So there wasn't a change?
What are you doing in the boardroom?
Okay, I stand corrected regarding location. The August 30 meeting is here in the Strangery. The 2 public tax hearings are in the boardroom
Okay.
in the Mince Building.
All right, thank you. Anything else on number 9? Dr. Farmer?
No, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Number 10, announcements. Mr. Baker?
Yes, sir. We do have this weekend a production in the Alcac Fine Arts Center. This will be a Shakespearean production, summer program that has been started by our director, James Brownlee, primarily college students. It'll be the 12th night by William Shakespeare this coming weekend. Next week is what we call our in-service week, with the beginning of our fall semester on Wednesday. That's a little bit odd to start this school year, but we are starting on a Wednesday. And in order to, so as not to interrupt registration, we are having Dr. Farmer's presidential address next Friday, August the 24th, after classes start, in order not to interrupt registration and the business office functions before the beginning of school. So you are all invited to that, August the 24th, 10:30 in the morning in the Alcac Fine Arts Center. We're going to have lunch afterwards for the employees and for you all as well. And then this didn't make the list, printed list, but hopefully you received an invitation to our Scholarship Donor Appreciation Dinner, hosted by the Weatherford College Foundation. That is September the 6th. That's a Thursday night. If you've never been, you will really enjoy this night. It's very inspirational for all of us that have anything to do with Weatherford College, and I hope you'll be there that night. And that's all I have.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is one of the best functions that we put on, and it is really enjoyable. Some of those kids, the way they're not kids, I shouldn't say that, they seem like, but it's a really great thing to attend. I hope everybody can come to that. Thank you. Closed session is next on the agenda. We'll go into closed session in just a moment. We're going to consider consulting under agenda item A with college attorney in accordance with Government Code 551071. B, deliberate real property in accordance with Government Code 551072. And number C, or item C, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee in accordance with Government Code 551074. And with that said, we will take just a couple of minutes, end this session, and go into closed session. Okay, it's 7:32, and
We're getting overtime.
we will go from our closed session into our open session, and is there a motion that we adjourn?
I so move.
Is there a second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Safe travels.
We thank y'all.
Glad you got to see me.
See y'all later.